Morning, Motion Palpation Nation. We're going to do our Friday finisher here. And so, again, we haven't really added too many more classes, but we are starting to fill some of the later classes up. I know the San Jose class in July, that last weekend, July 31st and August 1st, there's already like over 30 some people signed up. So if you're thinking about signing up for those classes, you might want to sign up early just to save yourself a spot, because my guess is many of those will probably sell out, and if you can get in early, then you don't have to worry about whether you're going to be put on a waiting list or anything like that. So next class though is June 19th, 20th. There's two of those classes. One's in New York with Terry, and the other is in St. Louis with Eric and Menrick. One's a spine class, that's the one in New York with Terry, and the other is the pediatrics and pregnancy class with Erica in St. Louis. So again, if you want to get signed up for those classes, I would suggest you do it sooner than later so you can reserve yourself a spot. Because once they're full, you know, especially with some of the restrictions that we still have to abide by, then, you know, we may not be able to open it up regardless of whether we could add another instructor or not. So get signed up early, and that way you can save yourself a spot. I had a patient that came in and saw me that I used to work with her husband, and he always used to say this, and it kind of got me thinking about some things, and so I made it the topic for this week's Friday finisher. Whenever somebody would say, you know, I should do this or I should do that, he would always say, never should on yourself, which I always thought was funny, but it is also he's very right, very correct. You know, should never did anything, and it never did should, as you would play on words here. You know, I think we all have dreams or this vision of a big practice or some sort of vision, some sort of dream, some big goal. But a dream or a vision is just that without making it a goal, because at least a goal gives you action steps to take towards that dream. Because, you know, there's some books out there, you know, like The Secret and some of those things, they're good books, but they basically just say if you throw it out into the universe, it'll come back to you, whatever it is you want. It doesn't work that way. Like even, you know, Wayne Dyer, he would say, you know, he did Manifest Your Destiny, and manifesting is a very real thing. But you have to take action. You can't just throw things out there. You can't hope for this practice of your dreams and think that it's just going to show up. You actually have to do the things that is going to, you know, put those dreams and those goals into malleable steps and actions that you can take every single day to get there. Because, you know, huge practices don't grow overnight, and you don't master a skill or become a master at anything overnight. Like, there's no secret sauce, there's no hack, there's none of that. You just have to put in the work, and you have to have, you know, some sort of action plan that you can do every single day that will get you to your goals and to your whatever your vision is of what you want to be. And that's whether it goes for practice or whether it goes for anything in life. You have to put the work in. You have to take the actions. You have to obviously have some clarity on what those visions and those goals are going to be. And once you have the clarity, then you kind of know how to go through the steps that you need to go through to get to where you want to be. And, you know, don't overthink it. If you have a big goal or a big vision, lay out your strategy to get there. What do you need to be good at? What new skill do you need to learn? What do you need to do to get to that end goal? Because there's no hacks. Don't lie to yourself. And don't hide behind perfectionism. Like, that drives me crazy. The biggest shooting on themselves people in the world are perfectionists. Perfectionism, or that, when somebody says, well, I'm a perfectionist, then you're just shooting on yourself all day long, because you will over-research it, you'll procrastinate, you'll always, because it's never going to be perfect, and so you're never going to actually do it. And so some people, I hope I'm not making too many people mad, but perfectionism is a lie. It's just another one of those things that we tell ourselves to not do something that we really need to do in order to get where we want to go. And so, you know, don't do that to yourself. Don't perfectionism yourself into never actually taking action and screwing things up and falling down and getting back up. I think it's Sean Acorn in one of his books, he talks about falling forward. Like, we all fail. Like, failure is inevitable. But as long as you fall forward, you're always going to find a way to get to that next level. And so, don't hide behind those excuses and don't lie to yourself. Just, be the 80%. 20% of our brain tells us to take the easy way out, and it'll sabotage every single thing that we want to do that is far reaching. And so the 80% is the struggle and the stuff you have to go through in the darkness to get to the end of the goal, or get to that light. And so, again, shooting on yourself is just another form of fear. And fear, for the most part, most of the time, is manufactured in the future. We're afraid of failing, or we're afraid of financial ruin, or we're afraid of making somebody mad, or we're afraid of doing something outside of our comfort zone. All of those fears are just something that's manufactured in the future. They're not real most of the time. I mean, yes, if you're about ready to run into somebody at a very high speed, that's a real fear. And that's when we take action. That's when we hit the brakes. That's when we get the sympathetic response. But for the most part, most of our fears are manufactured in our own mind because of fear of the future. So don't be that person. Don't be afraid to get out there and get outside of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to crawl through the muck to get to where you want to get to. Because, to get anywhere in practice or life, you don't get out of life what you want. You get what you put into it. And so, just in all things in life, it's what you are and what you put into it. It's not what you dream and hope of. Yes, some of those things can intersect, but if you just dream and hope and fantasy hard enough, most of the time that's not going to come to reality. And so what you get out of life and in practice and whatever else that you put yourself into or want out of life is what you put into it. It's what you give that will ultimately give you the end result of what you want. And so, everybody's done something that's even surprised themselves. Like, you've probably done this. Like, everybody's done something that they didn't think they could do. Or they've gone through a long process and ended up, things worked out at the end because of all the hard work. And so basically, your life isn't what you hope and dream for, it's what you create. And when you want something bad enough, you turn your shoulds into a must. There's three things that basically happen. You stop shoulding on yourself and you make it a must. You make it something that you absolutely have to do in order to get to where you want to be. Second, you become a bit obsessive over it. As you become to obsess over those things that you must do because you've gotten rid of the shoulding on yourself. And then third, you actually find and enjoy the process. Like, you find that you enjoy the grind part of it and the actual work that you're putting into it. And the end result and that end goal and that end carrot isn't as important as it used to be, because it's the process that's turning you into what you're ultimately going to be at the end of that journey. And so I think those are some of the steps you could take if you do find that you're a procrastinator or a perfectionist, is turn your shoulds and your one days into a must. Give yourself a deadline, get action steps in place, and learn the skills that you need to learn in order to get there. Obsess over it, and then ultimately in that obsession, like, you'll find joy in the process. And so I hope that helps you. Thank you, Chuck. He was a guy that worked at the multidisciplinary clinic that I used to work at. He was our bracing guy, and he always used to say, don't shit on yourself. And I think that's a great message for the week. So you guys have a great weekend. We'll do this again next Friday. Thank you, guys.